Hi everyone, this is Melissa from Melissa Made, and today I'm going to share with you how I made this cute little accordion book using this Tiddly ink stamp and some paper from My Mind's Eye, and it's the Fine and Dandy Girl Stack. But one of the things that I want to talk to you about, and I kind of mentioned before how I made a color chart with my Copics, and I did that like this by taking a chart on my paper that I like to color on, and I personally like the Express It cardstock, blending cardstock. And I found this chart online, and I went ahead and laid out all my Copic colors on this chart. And then what I do when I go to pick out paper is I grab my stack that I want to use, and then I kind of just take this and line it up with the colors on my chart, and then I can get colors that are really close to the colors in the paper. And I do this throughout the whole stack. So then I'll take the blue and kind of match up my blues, and then I'll take the oranges and I line up my oranges, and the whole time I pull out my Copics as I go. And this really helps me, and I think it's really helped my cards pop, because when you have matching colors, it's really easy for your for everything to kind of blend together and to look really nice. So for instance, I picked out my papers, I picked out all my Copic markers, and then I set to coloring her. And you can ignore the skin tones and the hair tones. I mostly pull out the colors that are going to match the paper for the dress and the clothing and you know, things like that for my image. So I printed out 2 of these cute little Tiddly ink stamps, and this is called Lily Claire Bouquet, and you can find it at tiddlyinks.com, and I'll put the address below. And first I stamped her on my Express It cardstock and colored her up with the Copics that I picked to match my papers. Now this is an accordion card. I found the tutorial on Split Coast Stampers, and I'm going to go ahead and show you how I went about doing that. But this is the inside, and the thing I like about this is that when you give this to someone, it's cute, but they can also open it up and set it up as a display. And this would be really cute as a Halloween little album, or maybe even a photo album. And so I really love this design. And again, this is this is the same Tiddly ink stamp on the front, and then these are also Tiddly ink sentiments. And I'll put all the links for that stuff below. And I used all the matching paper from My Mind's Eye as well for the inside. And I used some pretty flowers, mulberry paper flowers, and some acrylic flowers here, and a little bit of swirly bling on the outside. The sentiment is from a Some Odd Girl stamp, Gifty Gwen, and it says, "Friends are the greatest gift." And so this is very easy to make. You'll need to start with some cardstock that you want to use. Probably 1 or 2 sheets of a 12 by 12, but I used quite a bit of the My Mind's Eye, and mine's a 6 by 6. So, you know, some pretty cardstock. It's nice to have a solid piece of cardstock. I started with a white cardstock base. I used a cereal box for the front and back cover to make it nice and thick. I used adhesive, of course, hot glue for the flowers, and my Copics, and my tape runner. And also I used a little flower punch for this, and Tiddly ink stamps. So those are basically the supplies you're going to need, and I will give you all the measurements for each piece. Oh, I also used a corner rounder, so you'll need that. If you'd like, you can also leave all the pages square too. It looks nice like that as well. And then the other thing I used quite often was my nestables. I have the circles, the standard circles, and also this one, and I'm sorry, I can't remember the name of it. This shape, which is probably one of my favorite nestables too. So use those. So you're going to want to start with some cardstock, white cardstock, and that's what I used for this base here, and that was cut at a 3.5 inch by 7 inch. 3.5 inch by 7 inch, and then you're going to need a second piece of white cardstock, and that's going to be cut at 3.5 inch by 10.5 inch, because this is longer. This whole thing is longer than a 12 by 12, so you actually have them seamed together so that you have a nice long accordion fold. Oh, you also need some ribbon. I forgot to say that. So again, you'll need some cardstock at 3.5 inch by 7 inch and 3.5 inch by 10.5 inch. And then you're going to be scoring your paper at 3.5 inches. So you'll have one piece that's a bit shorter, you're scored at 3.5. You'll have a longer piece and you'll score it at 3.5 all the way over. And then you'll adhere those, and I'll show you how to do that in a second. Okay, so I'm back and I have my 3.5 by 7 inch piece scored in half, which is at a 3.5. And I have my 3.5 by 10.5 inch piece and scored at 3.5 inches on each side there as well. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is round my corners, and I have this handheld corner rounder, and I wish I had a corner chomper, so I'm gonna hit husband up for one of those for Christmas this year. But I'm just going around and chomp the corners. Now the thing about the reason I'm using this one, because I do have another one, is because when you fold these and chomp them, it is really thick. Your corners are really thick, because I like to use a nice sturdy paper. So if you're going to do this, you're going to want something that can go through a pretty thick sheet of paper. So I'm going to do this with all my corners, and then I'll come back and show you how I adhere these halves to each other. Okay, so now I have everything scored and I have all the corners rounded, and I am going to adhere these two pieces like this, so that the accordion folds like this, like a book kind of opens, and then this folds out this way. Okay, so you just line them up like that, and now you have your little accordion. And again, you make an M. That's probably the easiest way to tell you with your folds. So now all I have to do is cut out with my nestables. And again, you don't have to use this shape. You can use any shape you have. You can even use a round circle if you want to put on the front. You know, you can do whatever you want. But I'm going to take my largest of this shape, and I'm going to cut out 2 pieces of cereal box, because that's what I usually have. It's a nice thin chipboard, and I will adhere those to the front of this after I put my design paper on them. So I'll cut out 2 pieces of cardboard with this, and I'll cut out 4 pieces of my design paper with this. Okay everyone, so I have my cardboard cut out now for my cereal boxes, and I decided to take a different paper pad for this one. And again, it's my mind's eye, but it's Lost and Found Portobello Road collection. And so I have my pieces. I'm going to run them through my Xyron and adhere them to each side of the cereal box. And I'm going to do that for both pieces. And once I have that, then I can attach it to my front of my M and the back of my M. Okay? Okay, so now I've got my pieces covered in my paper, and I'm going to ahead and adhere the covers to the front here. So just add some adhesive. And then the way I like to do it is to kind of hold it open. Actually, I think I want to use this one. Hold it open like this and kind of center this piece on my cover. Just like that. And then for the back piece, I will go ahead and add adhesive like this. And then I think the best way to do the back cover is to line up the front and the back. Just like that, so that then you know your covers are even on both sides. So now you have the little fold-out accordion booklet. And now you can decorate and embellish however you want. And again, I'll show you mine. This is the first one that I created. I want to make sure to tell you that when you adhere your ribbon, only adhere it to the front cover, because if you adhere it to the front and back, then when you open it, it'll be like this. Now you could do that if you wanted more of a booklet look, but I like the fact that you can, you know, open up the card like this. So only adhere your ribbon to the front, and then decorate and embellish the inside any way you'd like. Thanks. Have a good day.